Welcome, everyone, to the Comment Dense podcast.
Yay! Hello.
I see. What else you got to drink there, Lemming? Is that just cola?
Yeah, cherry coke, my favorite.
Ah, fair enough. I'll remember that. Welcome to the Comments podcast. What happens? And thank you for the resub, by the way, Lemming, while we were in the break. For anyone who's new to the show or never been with us before, we effectively are a group of friends who talk densely upon the various comments and various top topics within the gaming sphere and nerd culture in general. We assemble once a month, usually at the end. However, it's starting to turn out more like the first Tuesday of the month these days more than anything else.
It's almost like real life is a bitch.
It's almost like getting four people to actually engage together and time together is difficult. That's what being a GM is. Hello, everyone.
I was about to say, you run an TTRPG.
I know what it's like. Yeah. So let me introduce myself. And of course, it's Ebak if you're watching the show on the YouTube channel and Twitch. You know me. You've seen me. You've heard me several times. Probably seen me on the podcast a few times. We'll of course bringing back the regulars here for the podcast. We have Burr.
Good evening, infidels.
God.
Yes, yeah.
And we have Lemonruss from the north.
Hello! How's it going? I'm here.
It's over there.
And oh God, you're too cruel to yourself, sir.
Your crickets are hesitating because they're like, are you sure we're supposed to be?
And Shadow Phoenix Rider, the bright spark within the darkness of us all.
Hello, I am here to make the whole podcast woke with my little gay hand, with my little feminine hands.
I thought that was my job.
Yes.
Look, I'm a woman. You're gay.
So between us, we make it all work.
Hands.
There you go.
Wait, no. Female. Like, I'm female. You're gay. Burr is disabled.
Lemming's the only normal, and I use normal in a very vague term. Person.
He's from the north. He is normal.
Lemming's nerve, together we make the minority combined.
Yeah, I represent straight nerddom.
By our powers combined.
This is the future the Liberals want.
Yes.
What's that old phrase? It's like, I do the dishes, I can cook, I am a car. Together we form a functioning adult.
Yes. It'll be like the Captain Planner, like disabled, woman, gay, northern, by your powers combined. I am Captain Woke.
Okay.
Yeah, that one when you realise northern is an identity.
Hilariously, chat, I'm the only one with a driving license between us four.
Yeah.
So we're always going to kick into the news, but we tend to always talk about what we've been playing this month. Strangely, I'm going to actually kick it off by actually starting with myself for a change. Yeah, very rarely do. I usually kick it to one of you off first. So I did a big stream this past Sunday. Played a lot of Star Wars games. A lot of small. I didn't even get through half my list though, so that is something.
Oh my god!
Well, okay, probably about half, but that is still quite impressive. 12-hour live stream and get through half. And when I say I play Star Wars games, people say, "Oh, what did I survive?" and things. Nah, man, we Dark Force Remastered.
I've already done that.
Galactic Battleground, Racer, Bounty Hunter. I booted up Rebellion. I then shut down Rebellion.
Jesus Christ!
And uninstalled Rebellion.
And uninstalled Rebellion.
When they
It
will,
was so funny. You were like, "Oh, I'm just going to look at Rebellion," and I went, "I'm going to look at the manual." Holy shit!
when they will return to Rebellion, I'll show you that this game is a gem.
It's a gem, and I've heard good things about it. Literally, just the problem that it was definitely one of those games that was made like, you should have a manual with this.
Yeah, literally the tutorial is in the manual, and it's one of those. It's
One
like,
of those.
It has a very high threshold of entry.
was the manual actually on the Steam page? Because usually they come.
No clue. Not a clue. I didn't even bother checking.
It's probably a PDF file somewhere in the.
Yeah, usually
folders.
if it needs the manual, it'll come bundled with it.
Usually.
It'll be on like the right side, somewhere in the.
It was also different to be jumping between between PC, PlayStation, and my Switch as well to play all these different various games.
I have done GOG. I'm gonna check.
Fair enough.
Oh yeah, GOG definitely has. I just didn't know about the Steam version.
So I played some Star Wars games, which is because of course it's May 4th. And that was a part of my 12-hour live stream. Awesome. You've got the Dune.
Oh,
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I've also played MonsterCon this month because that came out. I played it once. There are people who in my Discord who've played it more than once.
They keep playing it.
And they keep playing it. Not nothing wrong with that. It's just it's like Jesus Christ. You know. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And
What can I say? There are people in this community who have a horniness level slightly higher than everyone else's. Okay.
I mean,
Look,
Yeah.
somebody writes.
Yeah,
I mean-
I'm not.
I mean, the first ending I got happened to have my favorite character tastefully nude with chains covering the bits. So
and I was denied my ending. But anyway, yeah, there's that. Apart from that, I've not really been playing too much. I've played some more Pokemon Violet. Getting through that, and it's one of those. I think I'm not sure I mentioned it last time because I'm not sure if I was still playing it last time as I moved on. But it definitely is one of those games where it has some great ideas. It's just such a shame that it's all overshadowed by the poor performance of the damn game, which is a shame because after playing through it, I'm like, actually, no, I kind of get where this game was going, actually. And
Yeah, I think that makes it more of a tragedy, really, because then you can kind of
Absolutely.
feel the love the devs have for the game, and then you're just like, but they're stuck. They're trapped in this box of like mediocrity.
mediocrity is saying the word.
Yeah, and I feel that for other games as well, where you can feel like a dev team's got their heart and soul into a game, but they're just like trapped in this. They're trapped inside. Like, please help us.
Nothing much can we do
we
about
need
that.
help.
Yeah.
Now, is there anything else I've been playing? I think that literally is just it. It's been mostly just doing that. And because, bear in mind, I'm trying to get a complete dex on Scarlet and Violet, which I have gotten a complete dex. I am one or two legendary Pokemon away from having all the legendaries as well. So then I think after the show tonight, give me a few hours, I'll be done with Violet. Just done.
Woo!
So
You will be free.
I'll be free.
until the day comes out.
then it becomes a question of
Celebrations.
what I play next, which there's probably quite a lot queued up. But yeah, I'll probably start streaming some more as well at that point. So I would have got it out of my system. Boy, have I got it out of my system. Anyway, moving on. I got my side quickly done. Burr, what have you been playing?
Oh, okay. So, oh no.
It's always the person who least suspects it.
Yeah, I've been playing a bit of small gubbins with friends. Like we've been playing Broforce with
Broforce.
Shadow and Lemming and Lewis. It was fun to a point.
Yeah, Broforce is a game which is really fun and silly, but then there becomes a point where you're just like, I'm not enjoying myself anymore.
Yeah, it's like chaos. Well, then there's a point where chaos is a bit too much.
It's like, this is
Yeah,
fun, this is chaotic, people are dying, but it doesn't matter. Why can't we kill this final boss?
I think the problem with Broforce is it's a very chaos pushed system,
Yeah.
like explosions and everything. But the problem is, at some points, the level is like, yeah, but if you go completely bananas, like we keep wanting you to, you will fuck
Yeah.
yourself completely.
Yeah.
And I think that takes away a bit of the fun of the game, personally. And I'm in two minds because it's like, yeah, you want to give your players a challenge and for them to like pay attention, but at the same time, if you're going against what I feel is like the core of the game, I don't know if that's the right thing to do. Maybe that's just me.
Just like a disclosure, thank you to Game Grind Zone for the footage that I'm currently not playing showing Broforce.
Yeah. Also, for me, the problem was not only that it was very chaotic, but I had a lag like a motherfucker, and it was causing me even on top of my like personal brain to hand lag. There was the internet lag where I would walk and jump, and suddenly I would find myself at the bottom of a pit because the game captured the input but didn't show me the input accurately. So I would
Yeah,
die
no,
a
we
lot
had some
of that.
really bad lag with that game. I don't think I don't know if it was the game or like there was something wrong with Lewis's connection or
I think it was all of that.
probably.
Yeah.
Also, it's a very old game, so it can have some
It
Old
is
age
fairly old at this point,
problems.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember TB. Well, considering that Total Biscuit once played it for WTF is, so you know, it's old.
God rest his
Yeah.
soul.
Yeah,
Yeah, GNU
GNU
TV.
Total Biscuit.
Yeah. But for like my games that I've been playing, I finished Broken Sword Reforged, which is beautiful. It looks gorgeous. I absolutely suggest that if you want to have some go with um, adventure games, or as they are called now, point and click games of old. Broken Sword Reforged is a really good entry game. It's a lot of fun, but still, I still will stay saying that the main character is a judgmental bitch. Also, there are some stereotypes in that game that do not age very well. And also, I really don't feel like there was any connection, any real chemistry between the main characters who ended up together at the end. Sorry, spoilers. But other than that, the game was really great, and it also was there's the game is about Templars, and there's a lot of things that were like touched upon later with Assassin's Creed games and with the Da Vinci Code and all kinds of things, but they were really interestingly touched. They were really interestingly shown and used in Broken Sword. It's a really fascinating and interesting game. So, and especially in the reformed version, because everything is so beautiful. It looks absolutely gorgeous. People were saying that it looks very nice already, but if you see the comparison of the reforged version with the original, you'll see that this is way better. It's many levels of magnitude better looking game now, with even when you can draw the the backgrounds and the characters and everything with even more details.
Mm.
It's such a beautiful game now.
Say, it looks
It's
amazing.
yeah, and it's worth the play just to admire how much work was put into those redrawn backgrounds.
And the animation looks slick as hell as well.
Yeah.
Reminds me of those old Don Bluth animations in a way.
Mm, yeah. I mean, surprisingly, the animations were pretty good in the original, but they are
Yeah.
even better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, another game. I played one more game because I didn't have that much to work with. I was spending most of the time at my parents with a Steam Deck. I played and finished and absolutely loved SteamWorld Heist 2.
Yeah,
Oh,
been
yeah.
seeing that pop up on my Steam, just like, "Burr is
Yeah.
playing." I was like,
It's a really, really good game. There's quite a lot of games in SteamWorld world now, in SteamWorld lore.
"Yeah,
There's
it's
a SteamWorld Heist, SteamWorld Dig. Now there's a SteamWorld Build, which is kind of like something between SimCity and Frostpunk, kind of.
Mm.
yeah." I remember SteamWorld being a colony builder, or maybe
Yeah.
I'm misremembering that with RimWorld.
You might. I mean, RimWorld is a great game too, but RimWorld is the kind of uh, very difficult kind of dwarf fortressy game. SteamWorld is not that.
No.
That's what that is. No.
Yeah.
Nope.
Nope.
Look, I get
Steam,
stressed enough.
Uh-uh.
SteamWorld, not RimWorld. Remember, don't. If you don't know what you're doing, don't get into RimWorld. Please.
I tried.
Bold of you to assume I know what I'm doing most of the time.
But yeah, SteamWorld Heist is a game about turn-based tactics.
Yeah.
You do heists, you destroy enemies, you steal the loot, you escape. But it looks beautiful. It really shows the aesthetic of the Steam world, full with like Steam bots and diesel bots and other kind of bots really well. Everything looks amazing. It's really funny. It has a lot of great gags. the art style is really great. I love all the designs of the bots
Mm.
where there will be bots that look like crows. There will be bots that like have like they move as a on a one wheel like Gizmo Duck from DuckTales, if you've ever seen.
Yes.
Yeah, there are robots that look like the Danger Will Robinson Danger robot. There are robots that look like C3PO. There's a lot of really cool designs and really cool archetypes where you have a sniper, you have a guy that runs with a hammer, you have an engineer that can heal everyone all the time and has multiple possibilities to shoot and such. And you can wear cool hats, not for any reason, they just look cool.
I'll tell you what.
No,
This,
don't they? Mhm.
I'll tell you what the art style of it reminds me of. It reminds me of Treasure Planet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a very charming art style.
Yes.
I,
Yes.
I really like it.
And also there a lot of the like robotic engineering, like mechanical things is very reminiscent of Treasure Planet. You know, Long John Silver from that movie was like partially, at least partially robotic.
Seen that movie.
You should. It's a beautiful.
I should.
It's an awesome
What?
movie.
I mean,
What?
I'll
Yeah.
in Shadow's defense, I only first watched it like a year ago.
But I still haven't seen it. So
Please go watch Treasure Planet, and then tell us at which point your furry awakening happened.
I have already had a furry awakening. There's nothing you can do.
It's Treasure Island in space
Yeah.
I can feel Eba's
with furries.
You need to feel it. You
Only
can see
specifically
it.
one furry.
You can see me shaking my head.
Like, when do you have your furry awakening, Shadow? I used to be in the Sonic fandom. Does that answer your question?
Oh, damn.
That's a spiky awakening.
Yeah. Although, in fairness, I never had any. You know what? Let's just stop there.
Yeah, let's draw a fursuit over that one.
Funny.
But yeah, it is mechanically awesome. It is funny, and it has a really compelling story. I absolutely loved it.
Good.
And I would need to like cross my information with Weird, who played a lot of SteamWorld Dig, because I need to know whether the lore is like, or maybe I'll just jump into the rabbit hole of research on the internet of how did they all get interconnected with the lore of the SteamWorld.
Good
See?
question.
All right.
Yeah, but
then.
that's me.
Shadow, what you been playing?
I played a couple of games. I played Spilled a couple of days ago, which is a cute little game where you are a boat and you clean up messes. Lemming will talk more about that because we both played it. I played a bit of Broforce and a couple of other things. I have my Steam up and I've come on Steam, help me out here. Yeah, I played a bit of Flamecraft on Tabletop Simulator with two of these boys here, and that was a fun time. But but most of my time has been taking up playing Nightingale, the game a game that is still in early access now. Usually I try to avoid playing early access games until they're out, but I played this game before when it was like newly released with a group of friends, Ebac, Laura, Win, and Scarfulu, if I remember correctly, and that was a fun time. And I had cravings to go back to it after a while, and now I have 123 hours in it. No, 134 hours in the game now.
Only 134?
Come on, I small spurt.
I know.
Nightingale is a game by Inflexion Games, a ex-BioWare devs. I will point out, and it's a mystical gas. Oh, we lost Lemming. A mystical gaslight
No.
fantasy universe. I have to read this off the store page because otherwise I call it steampunk, and that's not correct.
No, accurate.
Yeah, basically it's an alternate Victorian. It's an alternate Victorian history, kind of, where humanity got spoke to the Fae, and the Fae was like, "Hey, would you like some technology that lets you go into different realms and have portals?" And we were like, "Cool, that's neat." And we made a city called Nightingale in
For
the
the Queen!
realms, and then
Yeah.
yeah, and then things went a little bit wrong. We've had to escape into the realms because things have gone a little bit bad
But yeah.
on Earth. So we're trying to find our way back to the city of Nightingale, kind of thing.
Look at that. You could fly around on an umbrella. Why would you not want to play this game?
That is the best part of fucking Nightingale. Is basically, do you want to marry Poppins? And the answer is yes. Also, there
Yeah.
are
Mary Poppins, yo.
Everyone
also
can be
there are
on
puns, and it's very fun. Yeah, considering it is an early access game, so it is still in. It's still in teething. It's still teething, basically, and there are some bits I like, some bits I don't. I think the thing you like, if you look at the Steam page, it'll have mixed on there, and I can see why, because there's quite a collection of people who played the game before the Realms Rebuilt update, and they're kind of miffed about all the changes they made to the game in the Rebuilt update. And like, I understand, it was a lot more freeform in Realms Rebuilt. You weren't really, there wasn't really like there was like a storyline of like, yeah, you gotta find Nightingale, I guess. And I preferred some of the UI in it, but the thing with Realms Rebuilt is it is a lot more focused, a lot more. It's like, okay, I'm gonna say this to the people who really like Nightingale. I'm sorry, but the original game was not beginner friendly. It wasn't. It just was not beginner friendly. And Realms Rebuilt is basically grabs you by the hands. It's like, look, we're gonna onboard you, okay? And like, I'm just gonna go off on a rant a bit. Sorry. Like, I recently was watching a Josh Strife Hayes video about Anarchy Online, and I boiled it down to brass tacks. Basically, that MMO can't onboard people to save its fucking life, and the hardcore players got really mad that Josh didn't watch like 30 hours of outside research in order to know how the game works, because the game doesn't tell you how. This game doesn't teach you anyway. And they were like, but it was made in 2001. It's 2025, bro. If I was the same person I was in 2001 if I was the same person as I was in 2001, nobody would like me for like good reason. You have to grow the fuck up. And like, the reason why Nightingale changed was to onboard people, to keep them in the fucking game. I'm sorry, your game has to have a good onboarding like thing.
Otherwise, players will just bounce off it.
Yeah, exactly. I understand. I get it. I understand the original way of playing was quite fun. Like, it was fun. It was nice it was a lot more rough and ready and sandboxy. I get that. It was good, but I think this new thing is better. It's just better, kind of thing. Anyway, rant aside, I do like this game. It grabs at the part of me who wants to play it like Minecraft. So I'm building these really pretty houses and stuff like that because that's what I want to do. And also, its crafting is like, at first you're like, oh yeah, I put like rocks and metal together and I make a thing, and it's got good stats. And then you start realizing that your crafting reagents each have particular. They have different tiers, and each tier has particular like modifications on them. So some will give you a bonus to melee damage, some will give you like extra durability on your items. And then you find out that there's augments you can put on your crafting benches, which give bonuses when you're making things. So, for example, if you've got a Victorian dandy augment, it gives you bonuses for when you're making umbrellas. It gives them more stamina, kind of thing. And you can put multiple augments together, and they can be different levels of augment, because of course. And then you also find out that you can. So you've got different materials, different augments on your crafting benches, and then you find out you can use realm cards on the realm itself to also give you bonuses for when you're crafting, and you get you get layers upon layers of like bonuses you can tweak and get. Like, basically, I've started writing notes.
Fair enough.
I've started writing notes and making spreadsheets to get the best bonuses I can for it. Like, because when you get to like higher level crafting items, you get layers of things that you need to use. For example, to make a druided top hat that I've got here, you need 2 cloth, which you make out of layers of fiber, 2 linings, which are also fiber based, and 1 buckle, which is made out of metal. So you've got 3 layers of different augments that you can sort of put on your item. For example, the cloth can boost your max health, but the lining can be made out of materials that boost your stamina, and then the buckle itself will be made out of a metal that boosts your like melee damage or something, and they can all be stacked together, and then you've got the augments on top of that. It's a really dense crafting system where you can, like, if you really put the time in, you can get a lot out of it, kind of thing. And I think a lot of people also fall into the trap of just throw shit to, like, you'll be all right, like, you'll be all right at the start where you just throw shit together and you make a thing and like, yeah, I made a thing. But later on, you are going to start needing to put things together and then think about what charms you've got on your equipment, what infusions you've got on your equipment, and like it's good. I like it. It's a very deep. It's a deep game when it wants to be. I do think it needs more time in the oven though. It is early access.
It is.
If a game makes you create spreadsheets and notes, not because it will not work without them, but because you want to be even more optimal and even better at them, that means it's a very good game.
Yeah, it's my way of it's my way of a love letter to a game. If I'm like documenting a lot of stuff, like writing it down, it's because I want to be like really deep into the game. Like, a part of me actually has been considering maybe writing a couple of guides for Nightingale, because there's precious few information, especially updated information on the Steam forums and stuff like that. I am going to do a shout out for the user Absurd Logic on the Nightingale Steam forums for their Nightingale materials color guide. They actually have like the level boundaries for the realms and everything. You have been so much fucking help to me. Thank you so much. I know you're going through like medical problems right now, and like you hadn't had time to update the guide, but like, thank you, mate. You have been a savior to me. So much. I just wanted to give him a shout out.
That's fine.
That's it. Maybe I will escape Nightingale eventually and play the other loads of other games that I have, like the Mass Effect Legendary Edition and Tropico 6 that I keep meaning to show to Elle, and then I don't.
Enough. And Lemming, what have you been playing?
Quite a lot. We'll throw away the little casual things. We're starting off with the one that Shadow already discussed, Spilled. It is a small adventure game where you're a guy in a boat. You're just a guy in a boat cleaning.
You're on a boat.
Yeah, you're on a boat. You're cleaning the rivers of sewage and oil and muck that some dastardly rotter has strewn around the place. and it's roughly an hour long, and you
Yeah.
just you pick up you hoover up the muck, you give it into the recycle place, you get money, you use the money to upgrade your ability to suck up more stuff, have more stuff, and to be better at sucking up the stuff. And then you find little animals, you rescue them, and then you fight a final boss, and everything's fun. It's
Yeah,
just
I
a
will
nice
s- I-
little 1 hour plus experience.
Yeah, I will say the footage that Elle is showing is an earlier build. It is a lot more detailed than this.
Oh, it's a
It's
1.0
along the
build.
same lines though. It's a
Yeah.
very cute game.
Yeah, it's very art. The art style is very cute. It's you can see animals. The further you get in the game, the deeper the water gets, the bigger the animals are.
Yeah.
It's very cute. It's very
There are
sweet.
fucking
If you want
whales at some point.
oh yeah, and if you want
Whales.
just a casual 1 hour game, it's brilliant.
Yeah, it's really cute. I will say though, if you play the demo of Spilled, it will remember where you were, but you won't be able to. You'll have to play through the levels again in order to get the achievements, which is how I found out. So
Oh, yeah.
basically, if you play the demo and you're like, yeah, I really love this, and then you go and pick up the main game, start afresh, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just
So as you
go
can see
through it.
on the video above, you've
Yes.
got little animals you can capture. You've got the three upgrade styles. You've got engine, makes you faster, like storage, more capacity, and size of sucker. And you can upgrade any of those as you go, and you go from small region to region, sucking everything up, cleaning everything, and when you're done, it all looks lovely, and you get a nice warm feeling in your chest that you've done a good job, and it's
Yeah.
really really fun.
Your
Also,
heart grows 5 sizes.
yeah. Also, I think the animals are named after like Kickstarter backers because one of them is named after somebody I've seen in Scarf's Discord several times. And I'm like, ha! I recognize you.
That would explain things.
Do you mean Vitus Bonus by any chance?
Yes.
I think he backs every good game on Kickstarter because I've seen him in at least 10 games.
Yeah, he's all over the place, and I think he does like voice acting as well. So like,
Yeah. I don't remember whether he does voice acting or whether he does game dev or both. But yeah, more power to him.
yeah, I think it's voice acting because I've heard it. I've seen him make comments that he's voiced a couple of things, but
Maybe.
Nice.
Yeah.
And on the subject of Kickstarter,
oh yes,
segue. Another game I played this month was the demo of Project Mix, a game that I'm fairly hyped that it is starting its Kickstarter campaign in a few days. I think it's on the 9th. I'll have to check, but it is a VR virtual reality. So I've got this thing. It's a VR visual novel.
interesting.
Oh, sounds cool.
Yeah, you are a bartender. You've arrived in a classically 90s cyberpunk, like Japanese cyberpunk city. It's in China, it's set in like Beijing or China, a Chinese, but it's classic anime cyberpunk cityscape. And you've been hired for a bar. You are the barman. Your boss doesn't wear much. Your introduction is her beating someone up and throwing them out the bar with her robot arm. And you get customers. You talk to the customers. They say they want a drink. You use the charts and drinks menu to figure out what would be best for them. And if you do it right, they'll tell you more about themselves. You get to hang out with them and meet them. And you get the demo is just the first day of the shift. So you meet your boss, you meet a dude who's leaving under potentially criminal circumstances. You meet a ditzy girl with headphones on who forgets that her headphones on, so she shouts at you. Like, is this a bar? It's like, yes. What? It's like, oh, sorry. Turns her headphones off and you have a little conversation. And a police officer who beats down the door and points her gun at you.
Well, that
Yeah.
sounds rude.
And you fall
Because
in
she's
love
after
yet
the guy
again.
who left.
It definitely looks
She's after the
interesting.
guy who left.
Oh, of course.
But the aesthetic is entirely down my alley. The idea is entirely down my alley. The bar is down an alley. Towards the yeah, just made that one up at the top of my head. I'm proud of that one. I'll add that to the bank. But yeah,
Bless you.
nice, bless you. And the end of the night ends with you on top of the bar. You know, there's a balcony, like top roof area, with your boss, and you have a nice little one-to-one with a cigarette. You can choose to smoke with her or not. There's a lighter mechanic, and you know, if you can grab something, you can use it. And while you're going, a passenger jet just flies overhead casually, and I'm just like, that's like every 90s anime ever. There's always a scene with a plane flying overhead. So yeah, that's cool. And then you go back to your apartment. It's a single apartment. You have a cat. You can pet the cat. You can make a cup. You can make a cup of noodles and eat them. You can drink some sake, and then you can watch the television, which happens to have some memes on on the television, such as an African television interview where somebody asks a person about their sexuality. You might know the meme from that reference. And various characters on the other channels, and the weather, and then you go to sleep, and that's the end of the demo. So it's coming out on Kickstarter soon. It's called Project Mix, and I'm infatuated with this game. I love the aesthetic and everything. I will be backing it.
Okay. What else?
I'm just waiting for it to open up. And the bigger game of the on top of like It Takes Two and Cookie Clicker, and I've recently gone back into Trials Fusion. I'll put that in the news later. Monster Con arrived. We have mentioned it already today. I have a grand total of 15 hours in it so far. I've had at least 6 playthroughs. And yeah, it's you had Monster Prom, and that was the first game. And it has all the problems that a first game generally has. Which is, you know, it's fairly bare bones. It's a full game, but it's the basic. You then have Monster Camp, which is a continuation of that. You add a bit extra, you add a twist to it. Then you had Monster Road Trip, which is a complete change to the formula. Do something completely different. And now we're back to Monster Con formula, but everything's been tweaked, everything's been improved, and it's a bigger experience overall. This is the best Monster Prom game so far. Hands down, in my opinion.
If you want to go watch out, you can find the content for that on my YouTube channel, which we played MonsterCon. So, yeah.
Ding. But yeah, very, very good game, very enjoyable. And the last game on my list, I know Ebac's interested in this one. Tempest Rising. It's a classic style real-time strategy. And when I mean classic style, I mean...
Yeah, do you remember RTS? Because
Yeah, do you all remember real-time strategy before EA killed it?
Pepperidge Farm remembers.
Do you remember that?
No, I do.
Yeah, I remember.
I do like the look of this. I've only got one issue, and that is that, like most kind of like serious modern shooters, I feel like there is a bit of a lack of color in there.
Yeah, you'd be right. I mean, it's obvious that their budget was going specific places, and one of those was not actors. Like they have characters who will talk to you, but unlike the charm of classic Command & Conquer games where the cutscenes are real people acting in a set, this is all CGI characters on a CGI backdrop with voice acting, which
I think what Ebat means is the buildings aren't colourful.
Oh yeah, I'm getting to that. Don't worry.
Although,
But yeah,
now that I'm watching it, it looks as if there was the approach, the decision was to make it feel early 2000s, because it looks very piss filtery.
There are some levels that are a bit more colourful. You have a couple of so far I've been in a desert level where you've been digging up a ruin and you have to defend your base there. There's been most of the colour is around the resource gathering, which is a red material. Where Command & Conquer had the Tiberium, the green gems that would kill infantry if they walked over it. This is the Tempest. It's a red substance that will actually destroy vehicles that go over it. So it's the opposite now.
It's just slightly different.
Yeah, slight difference. But yeah, it is for, like the most color you see is the blue on screen or the red of the other factions, and it is fairly dull color palette wise. I'll give it that.
Yeah. I
So
must
like
say,
green.
I'm sorry to all the Deus Ex fans, but Adam Jensen would feel right at home in this color scheme.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right, and you should say it.
But he never asked for
But
this.
yeah, there are there's lots of trees. There is lots of scenery. But yeah, you are right. It does have a dull palette to it.
I think
But, other than that,
the buildings look fairly all right. They're a bit, again, very pastel colors. But yeah, I feel like, especially with these kind of games, you kind of should lean into the ridiculous a little bit.
There's a lot of blurring on the edges as well, but I must say that effect improves the visibility and readability of the UI, which is really well contrasting against that.
Yeah, I think there is a place for like duller colored RTS games, and I think it's probably got a better chance of like being noticed because RTSs are like so few and far between these days, aside from like like the Age of Empires 2 and 1 and 2 remaster / remakes sort of thing.
yeah, I mean, there's another couple of real-time strategies in the works right now that are basically just real-world or Cold War era realism.
Yeah, I think
strategies.
I think there's a place for them, and I think they're probably going to get a lot more noticed because the field's fallow, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah.
But I think if the genre gets a second wind, which I'm not sure it will. I mean, I hope it does, but I don't think it will. If the genre got a second wind, it would be buried quite quickly, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It would be the herald of a new era. But like somebody like as you said, Ebak, I think you kind of need a character. That's why Warcraft 3 managed to stand out. Like the Warcraft games managed to stand out because they were just silly. And
this game
RTS,
has silly in it, but it's such a small amount. The rest of it is it has silly vehicles, it has silly characters, but it's all done straight faced, which I think might have been the wrong way to do it.
Yeah, no, I think that's the problem because I think that's the problem a lot of RTSs fell into during the boom times because a lot of them were like, yeah, let's just put a thing together, but they were all the same. There was no character.
Yeah.
I played an RTS called Armies of Exigo a long time ago, and let's be frank, that is basically Warcraft 3 in a different hat, like with the serial numbers filed off, kind of thing. I see what you were doing, EA. I know, and it's a really pretty game, and it is really nice. But the thing is that there's no heart. There's no heart there. There's no like connection.
Wasn't Warcraft 3 already kind of like one of the swan songs of RTSs?
Maybe. It was in the glory days or getting very close to the end of it.
Because I remember there were bajillion RTSs in the like mid-90s before Warcraft 3, which was like the early 2000s or very late 90s. And there were like KKND and Earth 2140 and all of that, Dune 2000 and all those. And they all looked very much and felt very much the same. It was like
I mean, I have a history of the RTS
built out of the same matrix
in my bedroom somewhere. I can't be fucked to go and get it, but like there was a point where it started to be like, okay, this genre is just completely oversaturated. Like it's ridiculous considering like the last time I saw
Dune 2000.
Somebody tried to get into the RTS genre that was a different game and not like a remaster. I'm looking at you, Microsoft. Was I think Grey Goo? That was like such a long time ago.
Grey Goo was 8 years ago, I think. But
Yeah, I know. That was the last time someone
But-
tried to make
Yeah.
an RTS that was completely new, I think.
I actually enjoyed Grey Goo because it was very asynchronous. No,
Yeah.
10
sorry,
years ago.
asymmetric. 10 years. Oh fuck! It
Yeah.
was asymmetrical because each of the three races that you played had a completely different paradigm. It's not like they had different units or different building methods like the Terran Predators and Zerg have, but basically, other than that, they're very much the same, analogous. It was completely different. Like the Grey Goo was just one unit that just split and spawned into separate things. Or like one that the Terrans would have advanced technology, but very slow building and not really building a lot. Whereas there was another race that was like very typical RTS that built a lot of units, built a lot of buildings, swarm the enemy, kind of like what you did in Command and Conquer or StarCraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will just say, I feel like there was a game that I really liked. I was so bad at it, but Power World was like basically RTS but with dinosaurs. And I'm so sad that never got off the ground. It's such a rare game these days.
But yeah, the last great game I remember was Command and Conquer Red Alert 3, which people didn't like
Yeah.
because that came out at an unfortunate time where. Actually, I don't think it's an unfortunate time. I think it's still a problem where it was critiqued because it had a very cel-shaded art style, and it was very kind of colourful and such.
Just-
And so
Which is
having
really weird because I was just checking the screenshots of RTSs and they all looked very colorful. Command and Conquer was colorful. Red Alert 1 was colorful. KKND that you just mentioned was
No,
colorful.
it's a cult
Dune was
classic.
very colorful.
yeah, but then check out Tiberium Wars though. If you look at that, that's very. I'm not shitting on Tiberium Wars. Remember what very grey, very kind of like homogeneous in terms of its design. Still colourful in many ways, but it definitely was part of that piss filter era.
That is definitely the sepia and Vaseline all over the screen.
Yeah, great game though. And then Command and Conquer 4 came out and said, "Hey, let's take the serious RTS game staple of base building and remove base building from it, because that sounds like a brilliant idea." Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, I do
but-
have something I would like to talk about in terms of RTS, but that's a completely different topic for a completely different time, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, if I can like, you know, reel us back into the subject of the game itself though, Tempest Rising, when it comes to mechanically, the game it plays very much like Command and Conquer Red Alert 3 light, in that, you know, it's got a solid building system. Both sides basically work the same way, so there's none of the, you know. I haven't played the actual like bad guy faction yet, but the building system seems solid. But the thing that I like about Tempest Rising in comparison to Red Alert 3 is not every unit needs to have a micromanaging secondary ability to it. Because that was one major thing that really frustrated me with Red Alert 2, is you have to micromanage every unit and go, that ability now, that ability, you had to micromanage everything. Whereas this is, some units have micromanaging secondary abilities, like you can click on them and do a thing. Like the engineers can actually build like little emplacements for infantry, which I think is pretty fun. But the fact that it's simpler than Red Alert 3 gives it a plus in my books, because I'm getting to the age where it's just like, I can't micromanage all that stuff anymore. I want something that I can just click on a big block of troops and go, kill that, and watch them as they do it.
It's like, my APM is 25, not 250, for God's sake.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not an esports guy. I just want to kill stuff.
So it's basically one of the why no one thought, why don't we have it so that the game's AI recognizes, like, oh, the optimal thing here is to activate the ability, so I'll do that for you, player.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been a godsend, but they never did.
Yeah.
And the final thing I'd like to mention when it comes to Tempest Rising, unless you have anything else to say.
Shadow.
I was just going to say, I honestly think it's the era that the RTS came out in. I think it came out in an era where everybody was in the early to late 20s, and we've still got that reaction speed up.
Yeah, because
up top. And now there's been no RTSs that have come out. Now we're all in our 30s, late 30s,
because
coming
back
into
then,
40s, when we need that help, kind of thing.
because back then we almost did not have adult gamers. Like the oldest gamers were like in their mid-20s.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, RTSs don't tend to have very many accessibility options.
Yeah.
I will say though, the Age of Empires 2 remakes do have quite a lot of accessibility options in them. Like, for example, there is a screen reader kind of thing. So if you hover over a thing, it will read it out, sort of thing.
Nice.
So I'll give them props for that.
Ah, yes.
Oh,
The
yes.
collector's edition. Nice. All right,
Now
so
I'm really sorry.
hang on, man.
No, my Lego. No, not my Lego.
Now I'm just really curious because I've never
Happy
played
Meal
Age of Empires 4 now, that was 4. Lemming probably gave that game the most love so far.
Potentially. Last thing I want to say about Tempest Rising.
Yes.
The soundtrack.
Frank Kopacki and his lot.
Frank Kopacki, for one, he does the soundtrack is split amongst Frank Kopacki and a bunch of other people. You got Frank Kopacki, you got Michael Markey, Corey Richards, and the Music Imaginary Group. So that's some big names in the music, or like in the fan music era of things. The music is great. Like there's some really thumping metal, there's some techno bits, there's some smooth bits. It's a good mix of everything you want, and you can buy the soundtrack. I'm probably going to at some point.
Nice. Sounds good to
That's
me.
been my games.
Fantastic.
I pick all this up now.
Is there any news topics that people want to cover?
I think our news topic probably ties into our main topic, honestly.
What are the big news one is? I do a quick news thing that I want to talk about very, very, very briefly, and that is that 2025, November and December were off the table. They were off the table, and then suddenly, lo and behold, a delay happened, and now suddenly people are scrambling to fill that void because it was announced by Rockstar Games that GTA 6 would be delayed into to the very specific date of May 26th, 2026.
Somebody prayed to the Dragon Balls for that one.
Yeah, because
the almighty Rockstar came down from their mountain and said, "There shall be no crunch. We shall postpone until 2026."
Oh, look
and
at that.
the other video games were like, "Thank fuck for that."
And now witness 6 different big games announced for December 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much.
And everybody who delayed it to 2026 went, "Oh, for motherfucker!"
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of thought that was hilarious that happened. I kind of saw that it was happening. We've not got any news on GTA 6, although a new trailer was shadow dropped today, which no one was expecting. Which
oh yeah, I haven't watched that yet.
Which I've seen it. It looks like a GTA game, and it looks good. Go figure.
I love how the term Shadow Drops is starting making a big career recently. Mostly thanks to Oblivion, I think.
Well, there's also a lot of things, but yeah, we'll get on to that. But yeah, that's a bit of brief news that I wanted to cover, and of course the fact that we had May 4th, and I've been watching with Burr Andor. We've been enjoying it. I've been loving it.
Tales of the
I need to get on
released,
that.
If I remember correctly.
Yeah, we need to get to go and watch that.
I might have seen some spoilers. Oops.
What's this?
My Star Wars viewing was all visions.
Spoilers until I got fucking hit in the eyes with them.
I mean, I got hit in the eyes with a spoiler of there being content warning coming up for people of sexual nature. There being sexual assault in Star Wars Andor.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
Yes.
And the
And
art
boy,
and the
how did that cause a fucking
and not
Ruckus.
just like implying, like definite like attempt and the actual use of the R word by the character
Yes.
saying he tried to R word me.
yes.
Mm.
Well,
Which-
shit.
Yeah, which a lot of people were complaining like this doesn't belong in Star Wars or this is. And my response to them is thus: you can't get upset when you ask for an adult Star Wars that your adult Star Wars has adult content.
Yeah, yeah. Like I completely understand if it was like in the main series, like 100%. Yeah, I get that. But it's Andor, which is specifically meant for
Yeah.
adults, kind of thing. Like
You can't.
and also, may I also add, this is a franchise that deals with genocide. Are you seriously telling me genocide and torture? You seriously telling me? You seriously think that we
Yeah,
can't?
the
talk
first
about-
hour of the first movie had an entire planet worth of people die.
Yes.
Yeah, I think when people because people seem to have glossed over that saying, "Oh, they don't show us anything. They show you blank around." I think it's because it's abstract. You see the planet blowing up. You don't really think like you don't think too hard about the implications. When if you really
Yeah,
think
look at
about
all
it,
the people.
you think that is millions gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a lot of people dead. Kind of
That's a
thing.
lot
I
of
mean,
people.
yeah, and I mean, I can understand. Like, I will say, if you're uncomfortable about that scene, like, completely
Absolutely, yeah.
understandable. But I think, like, there's a lot of people going, well, people are now defending, sexual assault in Star Wars. Like, no, we're not defending it. We're defending the fact that the Andor specifically can have that in it.
They can
Basically,
depict it and the horrors of it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're defending the role of showing that such things exist in the universe of Star Wars and why.
That's not
Yeah,
to say
I
we
mean-
condone it.
yeah, we
Yeah.
don't condone it. Like
How
I think I think if you feel uncomfortable about that scene, that's correct. That is the
You're
that is the
supposed
correct.
to.
Yeah, you're
You're
supposed to.
If you don't feel uncomfortable about that scene,
Yeah,
you
because
might need to see a therapist, sir.
how are you supposed to show that Imperials are horrible abusive creeps without showing them being horrible abusive creeps?
Yeah, I will say, I am of the persuasion of, like, if you can show something other than rape, do that. That's more effective, kind of thing. Because a lot of people use that as like a shorthand for this person is very bad, so they did the thing that nobody like. They did the thing that's worse than murder, kind of thing. Like, if you can show a character's like badness in a way other than that, please do that. But like, I'm not gonna say you can't have this thing in an adult like show,
Mm.
kind of thing. You have to treat it like it's one of those scenes you have to treat with respect, kind of thing.
I mean, I thought it was true. For me, it really portrayed the insidiousness of the Empire. Because
Yeah.
when the guy first appears in the episode who's doing it, he's just approaching Bix and he's like, this is a lovely place out here, isn't it? There's, like fresh air and and you think, oh, he's just making conversation. And then he starts going like, I've been to the city recently. It's all so different. We could, it's just like a trip over the speeder. I'm like, oh, are you hitting on her? And then it went from hitting on her to like, my husband wouldn't approve. Is he here? Woo, okay, dude. Yeah,
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
it was
and
going creepy very fast.
I started to raise red flags,
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's what makes it extremely uncomfortable, because that is how those kind of people work, kind of thing.
Mhm.
It's never the people you expect, and they're and like a lot of people think it's a sex thing. It's not about sex. Like, it's never about sex. It's about power. And I
Yeah,
think, and that's also another thing I would probably like say to TERFs, like, the people you don't like are not going to do the thing in the bathroom, because there's no point doing the thing in the bathroom. It's a power thing. They are not going to dress up as women just to get what they consider an inferior person at their mercy. No.
The world's full of morons and idiots.
And now I've upset everybody in the YouTube's comments.
Oh, if you think
Good.
Tell them to go fuck themselves.
if you're in the YouTube comments and you're on the side of the turfs, you can go fuck yourself right now.
Yeah. And you don't.
Yeah, don't get rid of it. Yeah, don't do that.
But keep watching and commenting, because that will only promote our
Yeah,
videos
give
more.
us give us algorithm stuff. We just think you're a cunt.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And the YouTube is now turned yellow.
You think I'm monetizing this?
Anyway, we were talking about news.
That was pretty much the news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the only
Spoiled
news I really
sales.
have is VTuber news, in that the largest VTuber in the world has officially retired.
Please give us something positive. Go on, Amy.
Yeah, not really positive.
Well-
Galgura, the #1 VTuber basically in the world, with I think over 5. Let's just check her channel. Galgura. 4.74 million subscribers on YouTube, has officially handed in her channel. She has graduated in VTuber terms. She has handed over the character and has retired. Basically, the highest point any VTuber has managed. She has decided to step back, go anonymous, maybe come back as a different character on her own terms.
Sad.
When the world
Sad.
needed her the most, she vanished.
I wouldn't say that. The rest of her gen is still around. Mori Calliope is still going, producing music, making content. All of her friends are still going. But I think she needed a rest. There was a lot of pressure on her from the company, HoloLive, and from the world itself, for her to keep going and make more content, to write music, to bring out things, to produce content. You're the biggest one in the world. You sang at a Dodgers game. Legitimate. She sang at a Major League Baseball game.
Huh.
So this has been a long time coming. She has put her character down, stepped away, and she'll probably have, in my opinion, I think she'll probably have a few months of being vanished. And then she did have an old character before she joined HoloLive. She might come back as that. That'll get a lot of attention. She'll make it big, but she won't be as big as she used to be.
But
Fingers crossed.
you know much more about it than any of us. Do you know how with HoloLive it would be, whether they would have approached her and said, like, how about we renew the contract and you work for us some more?
There's a potential, but once the graduation has happened, that's pretty much final.
Pre-graduate, like, let's not graduate you yet. Let's work for 1 or 2 more years.
No, that they've been negotiating this with management. Well, Gura was negotiating this with management for like a year, trying to make everything right, get everything clear, make sure everything was sorted before she stepped down. So this has been a long time coming, and they've been discussing this behind the scenes for months. So the fact that it's happened, they gave us about a month to get ready for it happening, for her to step down. She had one final marathon stream with all of her friends, finished it with a mini concert. Everybody cried. She released one final song in that final week that immediately got massive. I think it's got millions of views even now. What was the name of the song? Ash Again. Her last song, which is 2 weeks old, is 5.1 million views. I think that says everything about how popular Gaogura as a streamer was. And I hope she comes back with whatever guys she comes back. If she comes back, I wish her all the best, and I wish her all the success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She was active for 5 years. Just corporate VTuber. Could you imagine live streaming as a job for 5 years?
I mean,
With
I know
that sort of audience.
Well, true. I know someone who's done that.
But yeah. We'll see what happens in the future.
Right, so let's get on to the main news. The news / the main topic of discussion today, which is concerning. Well, that'll be the topic for the next 45 minutes or so. The topic is the value and cost of gaming. So, Nintendo.
That's a topic.
That is a topic, and it was one which was suggested to us. So, between the last show podcast and ours now, there is the. How do I see in the chat? I see in the chat. I've kind of lost my thought here.
They released they sort of shadow dropped the price of the Switch 2.
Well, they did the direct, and they did the direct, but they didn't mention prices.
Yeah, they for some reason they kept that quiet, and I wonder why.
Wonder why. So the Switch 2 was announced on with a lot of big kind of spectacle back in April. Beginning of April, I should say. I think it was the second, or I think it was actually the day after we did the our last podcast. And everyone seemed to be pleased. It's like we're getting the Switch 2. It's a confirmed thing. We're getting Mario Kart World. We're getting some games, new games, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metro Beyond, and there are games getting upgrades and so on and so forth. The big controversy is not the price of the Switch 2 itself, even though the Switch 2 is not a cheap piece of kit. It's retailing for, according to what I could find here online, we're looking at a UK cost of £400, $450 in the United States, although subject to tariffs and such, potentially.
500 if you get it with Mario Kart World.
500 get with Mario Kart World. The price of the console is not what people are upset about. What they're upset about is the price of peripherals, specifically games. Now, there are some caveats. The camera is entirely optional. The Pro Controller, the original Pro Controller, is compatible with the Switch 2, so you don't need to get the new one if you don't want the new one. However, games, or specifically Mario Kart World, so far, they made the announcement that these will be $80. For context to anyone watching either in the future or at this point, right now the industry standard is about $70. Ish.
£60 in
Yeah.
pound, shillings, and pence.
£60, Monster King. I can honestly put my hand up and say that I paid £60 for Star Wars Outlaws, at least the base version of it. If I got the base version. Okay.
Yeah, most of my AAA games are retailing at 60.
But if you wanted to get Mario Kart World separately here in the UK, the cost of doing so is going to put you back 75 nicker.
Or $80 if you're in the US, subject to tariffs.
Subject to tariffs. And again, there was significant backlash of this. The directs they've done since have been nothing but people in the comments full of drop the price. Not in relation to the console, but in relation to games. Nintendo have confirmed that they're going to have a sliding scale of cost for games. So, for example, the new Donkey Kong game is not going to be $80. That's going to be 60 or something, which is what they said. The point is that they're trying to very much turf the news over with this expectation of, oh, Mario Kart is out, is an anomaly, even though we've seen that the cost for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom is still, for the Switch 2 versions, for context, because they are getting Switch 2 upgrade versions, are high above the price of conventional games today. For example, if I'm Breath of the Wild, Switch 2 edition, I'm seeing that for $64.99. right now. If you want to get that from
Yeah,
Amazon.
sounds about right.
Same for Tears of the Kingdom, $64.99. I'm also gonna preface this saying that doesn't come with a DLC either. That is simply just the Switch 2 version.
Jesus Christ.
A game which, again, Breath of the Wild, it was on the Wii U. This is a game that's effectively 2 generations old at this point. Why the fuck am I paying a premium price for it?
Yeah, and I think there is like one possible lurking bomb here as well, in that we don't know what price Pokemon Legends ZA is, and I think a lot of if it does, I have a feeling it won't be the 70 quid that Mario Kart is. I don't think it will be that. I don't think even Nintendo wants to try for that. But if it is, let me tell you, 70 quid for a game looking like that? I'm gonna pirate that fucker. People are gonna pirate that fucker, and I'm not gonna be able. I'm not gonna tell them otherwise.
Yeah, it's like publishers and big corporations forget that the more expensive a thing is, the more likely people are just to say, "Fuck that! I can get it illegally."
Yeah, exactly. People will pay the price that they want to pay for it. It's basic economics. And if that price is too high, they'll make their own price, which is zero.
There is a very unfortunate and sad thing that I think, and that has grown out of the fact that the gamers are no longer very small and hermetic group. It's hundreds of millions of gamers worldwide, and that will still make a lot of people buy the game regardless of how pricey it is, because they have been grown on Pokemon, and the nostalgia will make them blind to the price anyway.
Well, I think what I think is that Nintendo is trying to milk this fan audience as hard as possible before they burn out, kind of thing. I think that's what's going on here. They're frantically milking this cow before it falls over, because if anybody has any sense, they know that Switches being bought for youngsters at the high price of 80 quid a pop for a game, that's going to cut out a lot of families. Like you're not going to have grandparents or parents being able to afford that, especially now, and they're going to lose those people.
Yeah,
And
it's like my sister, my nephew has 2 sons, my nephews. My oldest nephew has a VR headset. He has a Quest 2. There's a Quest 3, but you get the idea. And because of the fact, he also has an original Switch, not an OLED. He has an original Switch, and because of the financial system of the world today, the majority of games he has on both platforms are either demos or free.
Yeah. And I will say this, because I've seen a lot of people like come in with but back in the day games used to be X amount of money. It's just like yeah, but you are completely ignoring the fact that was in the 80s, 90s, a long time ago, and this is 2025. Wages have not risen in comparison to prices. I mean, we've been very lucky that video games haven't moved up with inflation. But the thing is, that doesn't matter if wages haven't moved with them. Like more and more of people's wages are going towards the necessities, like the mortgage, the rent, food, electricity, water, all kinds of things. And you coming over there and saying, well, prices haven't raised in like forever. And it's just like, yeah, if our fucking wages have risen as well, I would be with you on that. And like I know you've said this before, Elle. It's just like, well, the prices need to rise in order to yeah, I understand that, but I'm
Our
sorry.
prices need to rise with them.
Yeah, if our wages can't raise in tandem, then I'm sorry. You can raise the price as much as you fucking need to, but I'm not going to buy it. That's
Mm.
just what's going to happen,
Like,
kind of thing.
at the end of the day, this thing that we, all four of us, love and enjoy, gaming, is a hobby.
Yeah,
It's
and
not essential to life. It is not something we need in order to survive. It is a pastime to enjoy in our free time.
yeah, I mean, I do resent the cries of like, well, get a cheaper hobby then. It's just
Yeah, I
like
do. Yeah.
I don't like that. It's just like, well,
Yeah.
No.
maybe they shouldn't be overcharging us, kind of thing.
Yeah, but the thing is,
But
as I'm saying,
Yeah,
our
yeah.
hobbies have to fit into what the people, working people, can afford.
Yeah,
And corporate gaming is going way above that right now.
Yeah,
yeah,
just
and yeah.
sorry.
Sorry, I will let you
But
go, but I was just gonna say, I I think in another world had I think part of the reason I'm so against the price rises is that I cannot, with all the layoffs that have been going on in the industry, I cannot trust that the price rises are going to the developers and not the suits who could take a fucking pay cut.
Oh, because it
Because
is.
no, they're not going to take a fucking pay cut. Not when they can toss out a shit ton of fucking devs like EA's just fucking done. Like, God forbid anybody fucking fix the crossplay bug in Squadrons. Nah, just throw the devs out on their ear. You know, we just need to make another 100,000 billion whatever fucking numbers these days that the video game industry makes.
Board
Nah,
board number
just throw
five.
that.
Board number five saying we made $500 last year. Why have you not made $510 this year?
Yeah, exactly. Like, if I had like any faith that money was going to the devs, then I would complain. I'd be like, fine, I'll complain a lot, but okay. But I can't trust that because you keep
No.
yeah, and like okay, this brings me on to like Nintendo. Like I will say, for all the shit I throw at Nintendo, I have more than a little trust that that money is going to devs.
Hmm.
Like they do like Nintendo does tend to have high prices and give quality. However,
Yes.
that said, one, Nintendo is due for a reckoning. It has been coasting on its laurels for far too long. Two, it is an arrogant piece of shit that likes to take apart fan projects because it's too litigious for its own good, including trying to take down Power World because it feels a little bit afeared of it. Well, maybe you should make a better game, Nintendo, but you know. And
She's not wrong.
like their first party games have not had they just don't go down in price, kind of thing. Just like because any other fucking game, like even a AAA game, you look at it and go, ah shit, that's a bit high. I'll just wait for like a couple of months and then get it. You can't do that with a Nintendo game. Your chance with a Nintendo game is to either cough up your fucking is to like go into fucking debt or you pirate the fucking thing, and then they get so unhappy about the emulators. Like maybe if you put some sales out, Nintendo, maybe more people would buy your stuff. But no, can't debase ourselves like that, can we? Grow the fuck up. Anyway, that's my rant done for now.
No, I do agree with you. It is, and I also agree with you about the quality thing. I've said this multiple times before. If I'm paying £80 for a game, there better not be any fucking bugs in that thing.
Yeah, exactly. If I'm
Yeah.
paying, if I'm paying like £100 for a game, it better give me a fucking blowjob kind of thing.
That's why people are saying, "Oh, GTA 6 is going to be £100." I'm not too concerned about because with GTA, I know I'm getting a quality game. It's like,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna call them out because I think they kind of deserve to be called out. Ubisoft and Star Wars Outlaws. I bought the special edition of that game, the Ultimate Edition. Let me count what the cost is. Outlaws Ultimate Edition, which I've
Can I
also.
also partner in with this a little later,
Sorry.
please? Can I partner in with what you're saying just a little later, please?
Yeah, sure. Feel free to add points, whatever, and it's fine. So, Berman, I bought the Ultimate Edition at release. That thing cost £115, and I want to also make it quite clear that that isn't even supposedly the biggest edition. They're apparently coming out with another edition that gives you more content.
What?
Yeah, basically cosmetic packs that come out as well.
So what you're saying is the highest price at launch doesn't get you the full game anymore.
Which is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is also a problem I have, which is like you got the standard, deluxe, gold, and ultimate edition. Do we need 4 different fucking editions?
No,
Either
we never have.
Either I want only the base game and want to get things a la carte as I want, or I want everything. Don't give me this stupid like, oh, we'll give you some stuff but not all of it. Oh, we'll give you this, not that. Just give me the 2. Don't pussyfoot around it for a start.
Yeah,
Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to partner in on this. Civilization 7 also did this thing where there were like 3 different editions, with the highest edition being around 115 quid. And the thing about Outlaws is it's a buggy game, but it's all right. The thing about Civ 7 though is it's a civilization game that launched without basic Civ mechanics in the game. Basic Civ mechanics being like a just one more turn button, so when you got to the end of the game just ended. You couldn't just continue on like ordinary Civ games could. You couldn't do auto explore, which is a base Civ game thing. You couldn't rename your cities.
Jesus.
You couldn't rename your cities. There was no auto explore button. There is no hot seat option. Like there's just, and the UI was a piece of shit. And like they were like, yeah, give us 115 quid for it. And I'm like, are you fucking joking? I came out here and bought the 60 quid version, and let me tell you, I'm over the refund limit, so I can't go back into it. But like, bro, that was embarrassing.
But you have something to say as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I will start from the most recent because I've half forgotten all the things I wanted to say.
Sorry.
But maybe as I speak, I will remember the things. But yeah, so every company that does this, like different tiers, is a greedy fuck who is purposefully using egregious psychological approaches to things to get more money for no reason out of you. Because the Ubisoft or Take Two or whatever, they will make those tiers. One of the reasons is this Goldilocks effect. When you see the base price, then you see this extra super expensive version, and then you see the middle version that's like a bit cheaper than the super expensive one, and you think, yeah, this one seems to be the most reasonable one because it's cheaper than the super deluxe edition. And that way they get you to pay like 70 quid instead of 60 or 85 quid instead of 60. So this is all using sociological techniques to get extra money out of you. So if a company does that, they are a shitty company.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So yeah, that's one thing I wanted to say, and another I wanted to return to what you were saying, Shadow, about the fact that the prices were the same for a long time. Yeah, in them old days, the games were pretty expensive compared to the wages. The games were pretty expensive for in the household. But the other thing is, there were maybe 2 or 3 big titles in the year that you wanted to buy. It was much easier to have enough money to buy 3 games a year. Now we have 5 games we want to play a month. It's really hard to to deal with that. It's like if you're a fan of the movies and you have really good premieres every week. At one point, you will not be able to afford going to the cinema anymore.
Mm.
So, also another thing is the the costs of the games might have been much smaller back then, but also the player base, which was much smaller. A company that sold 100,000 copies was really successful. Now 100,000 copies is an indie game because, like I said, we have hundreds of millions of players nowadays of gamers. It's like unlike the like million gamer worldwide in the 90s, for example.
And
Uh,
also
So
ballooning budgets as well,
I
caused by
was,
Yeah.
I
suits
was
who,
about to say.
and I was going to say,
yeah,
caused by suits who keep thinking that games need to have like graphical fidelity where we can see everybody's fucking paws. No,
yeah.
stop it.
I
No,
mean,
stop
if
this. I
if
want games worse looking.
yeah,
Stop
if
it.
if I may say though, regarding the graphical fidelity, so it does not scale that much for graphical fidelity though. If a game like if a studio buys like the Adobe package like the Maya, or whether they use some other tools, some other libraries that they use like Havok or WWise or others, they will cost more or less similar prices per like month or per year per user for the company, whether you make a game that is simple models, cel shaded, or there are very difficult models that take a lot of work. But there's a ton more work. You can have a 10 people group to make a game that is much less much smaller graphical fidelity, but you will need 40 or 50 or 150 people working far longer on those very difficult models to make them look nice. You have much more people for whom you have to buy those licenses, and they have to pay the wages, etc. And also the same is with the scope of the game. Like when you have a game, I think I've been seeing like the information about Ghost Runner, which is a game that I have a special connection to. It cost like $10 million to make with everything. It got the $10 million in the first 4 months, and then in a year I think it doubled the amount of money. So it earned twice as much as it cost, and it wasn't a huge game, but it was absolutely enough for that. However, with huge blockbuster games, everyone's like, you have to have more, you have to have a bajillion things in the game, you have to have a whole living galaxy with 100 planets, you have to have a story for 200 hours, and people are making lots of content, especially if the design is also not like completely solidified before you start working. They also make extra things that don't even get into the game, and they get either into DLC or they are just completely thrown away, even
Or,
though people spend time working on them.
or worse, your
That's
game
crazy.
becomes a money pit like Star Citizen.
Yeah,
I think Star Citizen is just like a fucking like money laundering scheme at this
Yeah.
Pretty
point.
fucking much.
yeah.
You know.
I mean,
Yep.
regarding the games that have really huge ambitions and are about stars, I also wanted to mention a game that actually came out, and we have completely forgotten about it because it was so memorable. Starfield. It
Oh
was
yeah.
such a memorable game that 2 months after it was released, no one remembers about it.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that always struck me about Starfield. It just felt so soulless, kind
Yeah,
of
Yes,
thing.
Souls
it's
is what I was going to use for it.
yeah,
I
it's
I do I do like the aesthetic was very NASA like. Like
Which is good, yeah.
it like there I think there was something there. There's always something there with a game, and I think there was something there with Starfield, but it felt so generic and soulless and just it just
yeah.
there was no character there. I'm gonna say it, and I think there's a lot of people gonna be very upset with me. Mass Effect Andromeda was better than Starfield because Mass Effect
Yeah.
Andromeda had soul to it. Like it was silly, and yeah, some of the dialogue is extremely cringy, but at least like there was something there. With Starfield, it's like there's a body here.
Yeah.
There's skin wrapped around these bones, but
Yeah.
there's nothing behind those eyes,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
because that's another thing that really characterizes those really huge, very high budget AAA games that really throws me away from them and repels me from them, which is they are almost exclusively almost all of them are like you said a few times, mile wide and ankle deep,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it really bugs me because that shows that someone or a lot of someone's had absolutely no love for this game.
Yeah, I think I personally thought we got over this in the 2000s 2010s period because a lot of people made like big sandboxy games like yeah, our world is so big you could do whatever you want, but
What's
like
in
a
it?
lot yeah, but a lot of what was in it was either like fucking nothing or just like busy work kind of thing. I mean, that's the problem that Mass Effect Andromeda fell into because a lot of the work on the planets was just busy work kind of thing. Once you did like enough to get like your planet's habitability up to 100%, you don't need to give a shit about the other stuff. Like it was just like meh. Like there are big I'll be honest. There are big fucking like metal sandworms that live out in each of the planets that you can fight. I never fought any of them. I managed to get 100% fucking habitability on every single planet without fighting those fuckers. Like, you know, it just. I thought we got over this. I thought we managed to cross. I mean, I thought everybody. Like, I thought No Man's Sky had learned. Was the lesson learned where it was like. Gee, howdy! I think we need to actually put some stuff in our game. Like, no shade thrown to Hello Games at all, because those for like they turned that game around like something fierce. Like that's not this isn't a diss to them. This is more like this is just like a fact telling of like this was the lesson they learned and they learned from it and made a really good game out of it kind of thing. But like I just
And their own game became a case study of how to make a horrible game and then fix it.
yeah.
I-
If I just going to be quickly say, like, I went from being like, No Man's Sky was a piece of shit kind of thing, to actually looking forward to their next game, like No Fire. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. One thing I want to quickly touch on, you said it a while ago, this idea of like what we do as a hobby, and like the whole thing of get you hobbies. I've always despised this idea of like you can't afford the hobby, and so therefore you can't engage with it. And I'm like, what? So as human beings, are we just supposed to just exist? Are we?
Yeah, I find it so very reductive
Yeah.
kind of thing where like people are like, "Oh, you can't afford your hobby? Well, get a cheaper hobby then." Like, excuse me, are you assuming that I'm just in the hobby for shits and giggles? Like I've put time and effort and soul and emotion into this. Like if I suddenly got priced, I mean, this is an impossibility because writing is cheap. But like, if for some reason I got fucking priced out of writing, like that's a whole like section of my life just torn away from me because I can't afford it. You think that's not going to affect me in some way? You think I'm not going to be upset about that? Like, it's so fucking like. If you took away anybody's like, if you locked away somebody's hobby that they love, behind a paywall. Like, and you're surprised that people are upset? Like, fucking come on.
Yeah.
I honestly go on, Bear.
That also, sorry, I just wanted to say that also those people are putting the wrong values in wrong places because they are like putting value onto all those people who are trying to sell those hobbies instead of for people that enjoy those hobbies. It's the
Yeah.
people that enjoy the hobbies that should be the object,
It's
the important part. Whereas the people who like grant us, who like mm, prepare things for those hobbies, they are the ones that should be serving the hobbyists, not the other way around.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
It feels like victim blaming in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like a lot of the issues that we have within the gaming sphere can be taken by slapping a whole load of board members and executive management across the face and saying you're taking a fucking pay cut, a massive pay cut. You know,
Which yeah.
go on,
Which
Beth.
is why I'm really happy that there are indie games, that there are people that I can actually turn to for interesting and cheap games, and especially what I have recently heard from a game dev who is doing all kinds of game dev punditry, unfortunately in Polish, so I can't share that with you, but I've heard a really interesting keyword, which is USP, unique selling point, which is something that the indie games and very often AA games have. And AAA games very rarely, if ever, because the AAA games are not just the most uninspired and cowardly
Risk averse.
creations,
Yes.
risk averse things, whereas the indie devs will risk everything for the sake of making a fun game that they will enjoy.
I mean, that's how we got Expedition 33. Like, I
Yeah.
like hold up my hands. I've no interest in it. I've not seen any hide or hair of it. I've only just heard things, but I've heard really good things about it, and it's like recently breached like 1 or 2 million sales. So, like, good for them.
Yeah. I have interest in that game, but I don't have time.
I also want to say, when it comes down to this as well, I think people need to kind of realize that there is a problem, especially when you consider that. Let's bring it back to Nintendo. What's coming out for the Switch 2? Coming out for the Switch 2 is a upgraded version of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for Switch 2. Bear in mind that the graphics are going to be slightly increased because they are still the same game. They're just being optimized for the hardware and such. Costing in UK price 65 to 70 quid.
Yeah. If I may add to that, they don't even seem as much of an upgrade as Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man Miles Morales were for PS5. Because I think the Spider-Man games on PS5 had more to offer compared to PS4 than the Zelda games on Switch 2 seem to have compared to Switch 1.
Well, I will say, let's be a bit fair on that. Basically, the whole point of that is to get Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom running at a smooth 60 frames per second with better draw distance and running at a better, higher resolution, and it does do that. However, and the point I'm trying to make is this month, Bethesda Softworks released a remastered of a game that is 20 years old, remastered. So, and the point where it actually feels more like a remake, that some people are saying, than a remaster, and they released it at £50.
And it's also running on the same code base. as,
Same
like,
code
the
base,
original game.
and including the DLC.
Yeah.
Do you know whether you have what many remasters have? Do they have a button that can switch
No.
between the version?
No,
No.
it's very much like beefed
It's its
up
own
graphics
thing.
and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's still running on the base code base. So I think modding is still a little bit up in the air, but I think most people have agreed like you can run most
We,
mods
we,
on
we need a
the
word.
original.
We need a word for something that is somewhere between remake and remaster.
I,
Remake.
to be honest, I think this is probably yeah, yeah.
It's
I think I agree with
yeah,
you.
it's very weird because visually it's really remastered in that faction, but but a lot of the mechanics remain the same. But even then, they've changed the mechanics. For example, your daggers used to be based upon strength. They're no longer based on strength. They're based on dexterity. That's how
Which
they
makes
get
more
their
sense.
damage, which makes more sense. The stamina system no longer decreases the damage that you do. So the lower your stamina, the lower damage you do. That was completely abandoned because people hated that system. So they have made some mechanical changes to the game. So even then, it's not entirely a one-to-one remake.
Yeah, it's similar to what happened with Paper Mario Thousand Year Door, which has been really cool because a friend of ours, Weird FTW, has been streaming it, and I played the original Thousand Year Door. Like it's been a while since, but I remember it quite clearly. Like not only has it had a graphical update, there's lots of there's a lot of other things that have been put in there, like some mechanics have been switched around. There's actually a helpful there's a journal which actually keeps track of like what side quests you've got unlocked, like what you're like whether you've tattled something and what the details of that tattle were, kinds of thing, and all kinds of like really good quality of life stuff that weren't in the original game, kind of thing. And it's like it's still the original game, but it's been tarted up, kind of thing. And it's like it's not a remaster because the stuff been put in it, but it's like, it's interesting.
Now, I had a discussion on a certain social media website a few weeks ago.
Oh God.
Well, I think it's very relevant to this topic because there was
Ouch.
some people really, shall we say,
Pressed.
not pressed. They were making sure to lick some Nintendo boot, very very harsh, by
The $1 million company isn't gonna fuck you.
by basically being upset that Ghost of Yotai, which is a PlayStation game, was announced that PlayStation are not increasing their prices to match the Nintendo games that are coming out. That they're remaining at
Hold
this.
on. They were annoyed that the prices hadn't gone up.
Yes.
Yeah. How much, like, blowing a billionaire will not make you a billionaire.
Like, okay, as somebody who was one of these Nintendo fans a long time ago, like, okay, I can kind of understand most of that, but the price increase, like, what?
Yeah.
Even for me, like, it's just like, what? What? What?
But the point I'm trying to make is that
Yeah.
someone then kind of had a conversation like, okay, but are you buying Yotai? And I basically kind of say why it matters because, and there's someone else who chipped in saying that I would rather buy a Mario Kart game for $80 than Yotai for $70 because I'll get more time out of Mario Kart and thus more value, which I've always contested that time is never a good barrier for judging a game. There's plenty of games that have wasted my time over the years that I would like, this is not worth the money. And there are plenty of games that have lasted for literally only 6 hours that have been very enjoyable, and I'm very pleased to have invested money. And yes, those games do cost less, but they are not, if you still break them down into an hour by hour cost, come out at a similar kind of price range.
Spilled, as mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
is a prime example of that. It's cheap.
It's an hour-long
It's
game.
only an hour long.
Yeah.
Well worth the money I paid for it.
You know,
I'm also gonna say I have 745 hours in Stardew Valley. That costs £11.
yeah.
Are you fucking joking?
But then and that's the thing, because if you start to kind of go with the idea of, okay, a game's value should be the amount of time I get out of it, if you work with that inversely, that means that Shadow, you should be paying thousands of pounds for Stardew Valley.
I should be paying like 700 quid for Stardew Valley, and I love it very much, but it's not worth 700 quid. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, if you take your time with a game, that's you taking your time with it. And like I've played some, I'm not gonna lie, I'm someone who is very much a single player gamer. I've played a lot of single player experiences that I've really enjoyed. Uncharted series, Ghost of Tsushima was really enjoyable. It's the Spider-Man game series. Those games, they cost they cost the same amount as every other game, and I think they were worth it. If someone, and especially if you're starting to do this, games should have a value based upon the time that you spend. Well, then multiplayer games are you're then introducing a tier system where multiplayer games are just going to cost more, or
Yeah.
single player games will somehow have to cost less. Which, well, how does that work with a budget? For those games.
Yeah. It's reductive. I don't think you can ever fully quantify fun. It's not some. I mean, executives have struggled with this for years for very good reason, because you just can't. Because I've had I've played games like Absu, which take around 2 hours, maybe 3 to get through, and it's like I have had a lot more fun in those games than I have had in sometimes really long RPGs kind of thing. I mean, I'm not too far into Baldur's Gate 3, I will admit, and I have had fun with it, but I keep bouncing out of the game because it's just so big kind of thing. Are you that's not against Baldur's Gate 3's quality. It's just so much of it that it's it's
dense.
too much.
It's
Yeah.
just the whole, even the idea of the game being this big is just overwhelming and taking you out of
Yes,
the
like
will to
Baldur's
play
Gate
the game.
3. I have 150 hours in Baldur's Gate 3, and I will admit the majority of that is because I was specifically playing it every Wednesday with drifting.
Yeah, I mean,
It is a dense game.
yeah, I mean, there are some RPGs that I've played and really enjoyed, like Divinity, ironically from the same studio, Divinity Original Sin 2. Like, that's a really good RPG, like really, really good. I would recommend it. But I will never play that game again because it is so detailed and so deep that it's the thought of going through that again and doing everything again is just like, no, mate. I'm even struggling to get back into Dragon Age because of it.
And we're not saying that a long game is a bad game. It's
Oh, no.
it's less that what really matters is your personal idea of value to time ratio. If you get more value because you like a long and drawn out game, that's value for you. But some people might see the same value in a shorter experience they can knock out within a few days.
Yeah.
For example, just to give an example of mine, I've heard great things about The Witcher 3. I will never play The Witcher 3 because I'm very much a completionist. That game is a 100-hour game. I just don't have the time. I just can't.
I mean, if you want to complete Witcher 3, is way more than 100 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will also point out that a lot of old games used to just waste your time. Let's not beat around the bush. They would waste your time because they could. There was no other they weren't competing in such a saturated market as we are now, and they could afford to waste your time. But the thing is,
what is that? Because you could beat them in an hour. You can beat them in an hour if they don't waste your time. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Okay, so are we gonna include them? Kind of thing, because if we're doing a fun to time ratio, we're going to get a lot more games who are just going to piss around and do jack and shit for nothing. I mean, Dragon Age Inquisition got a lot of flack because it has missions that take real world time that run in the background kind of thing, and some are I don't think any of them are completely vital to the main story. I think a couple maybe are, but that's still time wasting kind of thing. And I think a lot of the time it's dulled by the fact that you can go out into the main game world and do other things while they're running. But there's just become times where you're like, well, I'm waiting for shit to finish. I'm waiting for timers to run out, and it's like, what? I just wanna play the fucking game. I'm looking at you, fucking Blizzard. Like, I don't know if you do it anymore because I'm not playing World of Warcraft at the moment. But like, they would time gate, they time gate the stories. The story missions in a campaign kind of thing. And I mean, I get it. You don't want the players to finish everything in one night, but if they want to, just let them. They're gonna do it anyway, kind of thing. And just like, no, you have to come back you have to come back next week in order to see the final the story, the final story that my name's Lionel. It's like, I'm bored. Just let me do the fucking thing.
And that's what annoys me, is there's a lot of games these days that are like, you go to our time, not your time.
Oh god, I fucking hate it. It's just
Yeah.
like,
You know,
Yeah.
oh, you want that thing, you have to play that this specific week. I'm very sorry.
I hate that. I hate this fear of FOMO kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
fucking,
The-
like, okay, like, Hello Kitty, like, I will call out Hello Kitty Island Adventure for this. Like, you're fucking, like, seasonal, like, I will admit, you're quite relaxed when it comes to, like, seasonal sort of stuff. But, like, it's still annoying to be like, oh, you want this specific, cosmetic, you have to be like online, you have to be playing the game within this specific time period. Like,
But
fuck off.
Shadow, they're only
that-
cosmetics.
I don't care.
That's-
Cosmetics
No,
are
beyond
important.
cosmetic, that's gacha in a nutshell.
Yeah.
That, oh, you played this game. You've unlocked everything. Well done.
That's gacha by any
Next
other
week,
name.
Yeah, because like I was a fan. I love the aesthetic. I love the gameplay, but I was addicted to a number of gacha mobile games over the years, and they all have the same thing. It's a case of, we're running an event for the next 2 weeks. You have to log in, and you might get all the characters that are exclusive to this event. And then when that event ends, it doesn't end. Just before it ends, another event overlaps with it,
Yeah.
Oh
and
my
you always
God.
keep going.
The only time I've ever engaged with that process was with Crash Nitro Kart, or you know the Nitro remake, because I really enjoyed that game, and as a kitty, as a completionist, I needed everything. I needed all the costumes, all the carts, everything,
Yeah.
and so they would start the Grand Prix. And Lewis and I would just grind and grind and grind to get all the coins we needed, and it would take us pretty much the week or two period that they gave you, and then it's over, and then the next Grand Prix starts, and I'm like,
Exactly.
give me a fucking break.
Exactly the same thing. They just
Yeah.
keep bringing out new stuff at just the right amount of intervals that you don't feel complete.
May I bitch
It
about
took
the
me
game
3
series wasting
years
my
to finally say,
time?
I'm done.
Go on,
Well,
Bert.
Yeah. Bitch about it,
Man.
bro.
I wanted to bitch about the game series wasting my time too, and which is why I will probably never buy or play Assassin's Creed Shadows. Because I didn't remember that in Origins, but in Odyssey, and from what I've seen in
Odyssey was
Valhalla
very
now,
bad.
the difficulty creep was very much forcing you to grind. Because if I only were doing the main storyline, my level would grow much slower than the level of enemies in the next areas. To the point that very quickly there would be enemies that are way above my level. And in Assassin's Creed games, there is this special thing that if the enemies are like 5 or more levels above you, they have this red skull above them, and they are basically undefeatable. And you cannot do anything to them. So you have to go do side quests, you have to grind, you have to go all kinds of find 6 bare asses or whatever, and find this location, that location, and escort this player or this character, or beat this monster, or pacify this, or buy XP. Yes, or buy XP in the microtransaction store.
And I'm just going to say, for anybody about to pop in and say, oh, but you had to do that in old JRPGs as well. If your game was balanced properly, going through the game normally, with the normal amount of random encounters, would keep you at a suitable level to keep you moving along with the fucking main story.
That's poor that's poor gameplay pacing and balancing, my friend.
And
You know,
also,
Yeah, exactly.
that's a bug, not a feature.
Yeah, also if someone says to me that the old Final Fantasy games or Chrono Trigger or other games did that, I would say, yes, this is why I hate these mechanics so much.
And that's why you don't get games with that these
Yeah.
days.
And which is why all the remastered versions of Final Fantasy games or other like that, they have those cheats built in that will like say turn off the random encounters or like boost up your characters and such.
And it's
Because
possible.
otherwise you would have to grind and grind, and if someone doesn't want it, they should not be forced to.
Yeah, and I will say it can be done because the first Golden Sun, if you don't need to grind in the first Golden Sun, if you just go through the game normally with the normal amount of random encounters, you will be at an appropriate level for everything, for every single thing, including the secret special fucking extra boss that kicks you in the nads sometimes.
Agreed about that, and also 3 words: Sea of Stars.
Also,
Yes.
also, I will say, Thousand Year Door is also very good at doing that. I've been watching
Yes.
I have been watching Weird FTW play that game, and I will just say, that is a game that is built specific. Like, there's a couple of times where it gets a bit confusing, but like most of the time, the game is very good at saying like, "Oh, you can't get through this door. You should go and explore somewhere else." And then when you explore somewhere else and you get an ability to get further on, the game's like, "Oh, you want to get back to that place that you need to get to? Here's a shortcut." And it's got it's really good at leading the player around to where they need to go, kind of thing, and also balancing the fights appropriately as well.
Yeah.
Because they actually took their fucking time with the game. And yes, I am playing a Nintendo game, but sometimes.
Miss pointed out Hazel likes Split Fiction in the chat as well. Very quickly, I just want to highlight that. Yes, it's £40, and it's not, and they get like a game share as well. Friend pass,
Yeah, Hazelight's very good
Yeah,
at doing
very
that.
good with
They
that.
did
Same,
with It Takes
same
Two
with
as well.
It Takes Two. Yeah,
I
And
think maybe a
yeah.
way out as
I'll
well.
be playing more of that tomorrow with drifting.
Yeah,
Yes.
just wanted to say, Split Fiction and It Takes Two as well. They are from the border, the fuzzy border between AA and AAA,
Mm.
and this is also a game that costs like the Hazelight did not announce or publish any numbers, but people were doing some speculations, and they calculated that the game of this size, made by a company of this size, would cost about like $25 to $30 million, and this game earned that many times already. I think they might have like earned the cost in the first
I
week.
still can't
Impressive.
get
Probably.
over I can't remember when it was released, but it was released quite early on in that year, and I remember thinking, "Wow, this is a really good game." Like, it's a really good game, and it's my game of the year right now. I bet there's another game that's coming this year that will pip it to the post. And then no other game ever did. And it won game of the year that year. And I mean, well fucking deserved. It's such
What's that?
a
Yeah.
good game.
Yeah, and
Like,
also
it's just a
well,
place in
yeah.
my heart. Like, the
That's what
problem is it's such a tender place in my heart. I can't watch anybody else play it because they won't treat it with the respect that my brain thinks it deserves, so it's just easier for me not to watch people playing it. Sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one more thing regarding Split Fiction, which is it's a game that has a budget that's like maybe 100 times smaller than Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah.
And for most of the time, it was either on par in like the popularity on Steam, or was just below or just above. So it was always around there, despite being a much smaller game,
Okay.
much shorter than by a much smaller.
I don't. Go on. I agree with you. I don't think we'd be shitting on Assassin's Creed Shadows when Ubisoft actually did the proper thing and actually delay that game to make sure that it came out in a good state, i.e., a state which actually deserved the price point it was being sold at. I will say, just to put a note.
I'm not saying anything regarding Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm just using it as a comparison that if you make a game that is 100 times smaller than the AAA game, you will have a game that does equally well or maybe better. You don't have to make a game that is big. You don't have to make a game that is bloated and has everything in the world you would ever dream of. You can just make a game that is fun and enjoyable by a lot of people, and that's absolutely enough.
No, I agree. I
And
also
yeah,
go on.
and then it could be reasonably priced, like Split Fiction was for $40, £40.
Pricing in gaming, I think, is just out of control. And I think it's not even just the games; it's everything around it. Like, as someone who is an MMO player, who here has played an MMO before and actually bought currency in an MMO? How many times has the item that you want just been strategically priced so that you can't buy the exact amount you need? You either need to buy 2 of the smaller ones or get the bigger one. You know,
Worse.
Doesn't even have to be an MMO. Every game that has in-game currency does that.
Shadow.
Worse. I spent about nearly 100 quid on loot boxes to get a specific mount. This was in Star Wars: The Old Republic with the cartel market.
I'm not even
Because I wanted a particular Varactyl mount of the specific color that Boga is.
I'm not even gonna say how much I spent on loot boxes in Overwatch, but it's more than a few hundred quid.
It's just one of those annoying things where it's so easy for a company to be like, oh yeah, here's the exchange rate. You want to buy that thing that costs 20 that 2,000 whatever coins it is. Well, here's 2,000 coins and it costs this much.
Yeah.
You know, whereas like no. Either you need to buy the 1,000 ones, or we can give you 2,400. But then you've got a little left over. Certainly, you want to buy something else, don't you? Which then you want, it's this all psychological stuff, and it fucks the shit out of me.
We might be in.
Modern arcades are doing that now.
Yeah.
A modern arcade, you have to go in and you have to buy a little card with your money on it, rather than just using cash. And every machine is a different amount of money. So you end up with like 40 pence. You've got some money, you want to use it, you have to top up your card and use some more.
Yeah, I mean,
Fucking infuriates me.
Yeah,
I'm about to go back into that with fucking Fortnite because
Yeah.
I want that battle pass. But
Yeah, and I don't like this one bit. Same with you, Shadow. Loot boxes. I'm not gonna reveal my account name on here because that'd be stupid. But what I will say is that did I bother getting your loot boxes? Star Trek Online? No, I just fucking bought the actual ship that I wanted for £70 from a third-party seller, which I'm aware is against the fucking rules. But guess what? I could have spent double, triple, or quadruple that and not even get your fucking ship because the R&D packs that you sell, they're like, oh yeah, you're buying the R&D packs. The ship you get is a bonus if you unlock it. So, but of course, no one cares about the fucking R&D packs. They get them for the fucking ships. And that's why I think, because I have seen the EU is attempting to regulate this by saying you must offer upfront pricing options. You can't just say like it's 2,000 coins. You got to say exactly how much that costs in terms of real money, and provide people the option to buy the exact amount they need for that, not have bundled things.
Yeah, I did want to mention that he is working on that.
That would have saved my fucking ass for that Varactyl mount.
And also
I didn't want anything else out of that pack but that fucking Varactyl.
And
kind of thing.
They're also saying that there should be no obfuscated bonuses in these things. People should be able to buy what they want from what they intend to get.
And everything should have a price in real money shown.
Yep.
Even if you want to keep the in-game money, everything should be shown in real money. as well.
That is something that the EU is currently trying to put through,
Yes.
and something which a lot of game companies, surprise, surprise, are very much opposed to. Which it's amazing how a lot of these game companies want us to trust them, and yet they want to be so opaque about where money goes and what their finances are. And it always seems weird how these companies are like, oh, we're so poor, yet we seem to be having all the fucking money to make all these fucking games and all these money to pay our fucking CEOs $10 billion for a fucking golden parachute.
We keep paying off stuff. It's very strange.
Yeah, these companies just act like we're so fucking poor. Give us money, and I'm like, oh, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, I really hope the companies buckle, because otherwise what they might do is they might just not sell the games in EU, in which case how we're gonna put the tricorns and eye patches.
That's a massive market to not sell in, though. But yes, you were gonna say?
Yeah, I've been sitting on this point for about 30 minutes now, waiting for my opportunity. Let me rant. My turn to rant now. Yeah, the one part of like the money in video games that we haven't really brought up yet, and yes, I need to go to bed, I need to go to the bathroom, I need to say this. We'll start from the top. Grand Theft Auto 5. Estimated development cost was $140 million. That's a fair amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
The marketing was $100 million.
Mm-hmm.
Publishers, you don't need to spend that much fucking money on telling people your game exists.
Actually, they do. I'm sorry. If I may counter rant your rant, we may have a discussion. I've been trying to think a bit about this. They actually do. Marketing is super expensive especially that they are doing worldwide marketing. So they have to buy like billboards and screen times and ads and movies and everything in multiple countries in the world. Even if the world just means Japan and UK and the EU and maybe Russia and the US and Canada.
Yeah, but what you're saying is they have to spend this much money for billboards and advertising and stuff. Do they? They all have a Twitter account. They all get publicity in other places. They all have, people on YouTube on their that'll take the deal.
You are still forgetting about the fact that the market, the player base, the market of gamers is now gigantic, of which like maybe 90% are people who don't follow the Twitter, don't watch the YouTubes. They see the ad, they want to play the game, they're gonna buy the game on their Nintendo.
Yeah, but at the same time,
on their Sony Nintendo, they're gonna play it, I feel like that is the majority of those 6 million people who bought.
Potentially, yes, but at the same time, 2009, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 came out. Estimated development cost was $50 million. They spent $160 million on marketing that game. Now, how many Call of Duty games have we had? Lots. They come out every year. We still see advertised on the sides of buses. The new Call of Duty. We know it's coming out in November. They always come out in November. You can save a bit of money and pay your developers a bit more if you just don't buy that fucking bus advertising.
I kind of feel I'm in the middle of both of you here. And it was
me too. Like me and Elle just sitting here like, I think I could see both points here.
Yeah. Because I'll say this.
You have to advertise. You're a big corporation. But at the same time, $150 million in 2009?
Excessive.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, we are. I think Burr is correct though. We need to be careful not to assume.
Yeah.
Remember, it's not. We're very tapped into a very internet age, but we also forget that the mainstream isn't.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
If I may show an example that is not games. have you heard of a movie called Avengers Endgame?
Mhm.
Yes.
It was like 22nd MCU movie, so people already knew about it. Still, it was everywhere. It was even in my fridge. So there were ads everywhere because they
Yep.
needed to make sure everyone knows about it, so that the most people go and see it.
To
And they did.
me, I feel like that Lemming is right that there is an excessive amount that's spent on it, almost a ridiculous amount. And I
Yeah,
feel like
that's the point.
but the thing is, I feel that the marketing is misplaced entirely.
Yeah.
And
Potentially.
when I say that, I'm like, there's some games out there that are really good that don't get the advertising campaigns, and no one looks at or touches. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown got barely fucking anything. Great game.
I mean, with that, I absolutely agree. That is one of the reasons why Prince of Persia flopped, and also why the fuckers at Ubisoft laid off the entire dev studio
Agreed.
because they fucked up the marketing for that game.
Conversely, who the fuck doesn't know what GTA is? You know, Shadow.
I think it's less of like the quantity of advertisement, but the quality.
Quality, that's true.
Because I think, like, I understand why there's such like a wide market, like there's a wide like distribution for big AAA games like Call of Duty and stuff like that. But I think, do you need to have everything? Like stuff on the sides of buses? Completely agree. A lot of people's going to see that. I think there needs to be more of a targeted kind of thing. Not spend your money on every advertisement ever. Like you don't like. Do you want something in Times Square for a big AAA game? Absolutely. That's going to get you a lot of eyes. But like a lot of other times it's kind of like you see stuff on like random shit and you're like, well, who is this appealing to? Like stuff on like water bottles and stuff like that. What is this doing? Like I think
Oh
I
my
think
god,
a
the
lot of
Mountain Dew
money could be
sponsorship.
yeah, I think a lot of people like money could be saved if they target it correctly. For mainstream people, you get a lot more people if you plaster something on the side of a bus, personally, I think. But for people online, you get a lot more from like as Burr like said, sponsorships and stuff like that, people playing the game, people seeing the game. And I think it's more I think the advertising money is better spent in a more targeted areas instead of being like, yeah, let's put it everywhere. Woo!
If
Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
if I may interject with one thing, with two things. One is, even if, and I think quite a lot of marketing agencies, they do know their stuff nowadays, but
I'm not saying that.
still, in many cases, there is just a sheer amount of like one thing. Even if you say, uh, if printing out, I don't know, one leaflet costs $1, if you need to print 1 million leaflets to distribute worldwide, it's still $1 million. So because you have to market it in a lot of places at once, it multiplies into huge sums.
I
Yeah, but
would
it's economy of scale.
I would also argue that a lot of the problem is not that, it's the chain of manufacturing. It's a case of, as you say, Burr, if you can, it normally costs $1 to print that, but there's someone out there saying, but that'll cost you $3.
Exactly.
And then they're pocketing that $2 extra
That
they're
is,
getting.
that is very possible too. Maybe not on the scale of like a marketing campaign actually costs 20 million and they pocket the other 80.
No,
Maybe not that scale, but yeah, there is definitely some margin that the agencies add to all that.
no, but I think
However,
throughout the entire production, there's a margin of that's going on, I think.
yeah. However, I don't remember. I will have to remind myself who said that, but one of the big names in the game dev industry said, games first are not divided into good and bad games. First is divided of games you've heard of and not, and then all the other divisions, like whether they're good, what genre, etc. First division is games you've never heard of, and games you have heard of. which is also a very important factor to the entire game dev industry.
Yeah, I will also say hype is also very important because marketing is running parallel to games being developed, and you want to build that hype
Yeah.
for your game, but you don't want it to go into overdrive because then you get people going.
Sorry.
Yeah, then you get people going absolutely bananas and being like the worst people in the history of ever, and then you've made a load of materials, and then you have to delay it or something, or it doesn't come to fruition, and stuff like that. So I think we're starting to see more of announcements for a game, and then everything goes completely fucking silent for a long period of time, and then when the game is like very close to release, where they're like they're pretty certain they're coming out now, that's when the marketing and everything ramps up. And I think I don't know if it's a cheaper way to do it. Possibly, I guess. Again, we don't see any numbers, so I wouldn't fucking know. But like, I think that's probably the way to do it in the future, where it's like, okay, we're ready to go. We're nearly ready to go. We're pretty sure we're ready to go. Let's build up the hype, let's churn everything up, kind of thing. Because that's what happened with like Expedition 33. Like, I went from like not knowing knowing nothing about this game to being like, oh, there's this game coming out soon. I'm like, the fuck? Where did this come from? And then it was everywhere, and then it was released. So that I think that's probably
Basically,
the way to
marketing
do
is
it.
overdone, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's causing a lot of that alone must be causing a lot of price rises when it comes to gaming.
Yeah,
I
I
just-
think it's probably more of an issue for AAA games. I think it's
Yeah.
Oh,
probably
100%, yeah.
I think it's more of an issue with the AAA games.
Yeah.
For indie games, it is an issue because it's a big part of their budget, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's that much of an issue. Then we could sort of look at the
Yeah.
AAA games and then be like,
I
okay,
mean, you look
where
at
is
an
the
indie
budget
game
going?
developer. You look at an indie game developer, and he or she will be looking at ways of marketing. Be like, okay, what can I do that costs the less? Social media, influencers, giving people copies of the game to play on on live streams and on YouTube. Cool. We can do all of that, and then we can think about money. Spending money on advertising after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good place for us to wrap it up because we've
Yeah.
been we
Yeah,
we
do
we
you
going.
want
Poor
a
Lenny
fun
needs to
fact before we end?
Go on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want the single most expensive video game ever developed where the money wasn't even in the development?
Go on.
Oh, I think I have an idea, but tell me.
Go. Monopoly Go.
No, I wasn't thinking
The
of that at all.
Monopoly mobile game released in 2023 does not have a release development cost, but advertising was $1 billion.
Why?
That is insane.
Yeah, that's insane. And second place with a total of $900 million when it comes to development is Genshin Impact.
But that doesn't surprise
Yeah.
me.
But yeah,
Yeah, that's by the by. But $1 billion for marketing a free mobile game
Why?
because
Why?
they've generated $5 billion on it revenue.
Sounded like a money laundering scheme.
I mean, Monopoly Go has somehow earned $5 billion, so yeah.
I just think that when it comes to costs and such, this is just the industry is just insane. They spend way too much money on their executive branch. They way too much money on advertising. They don't pay the developers enough. Developers are too expendable. I mean, I've never known another industry where you just get laid off like that. And
Yeah. Agreed.
it has to stop.
You are our most experienced, advanced, and caretaking developers in our entire business.
You're fine.
Here's your notice. Bye.
Yeah, it's
All save a few bob.
Yeah. I think that the French had it right. Bring back the guillotine.
Yep. 100%. Bring him back.
Yes.
Yep.
We'll start with
Looking at you,
Bezos.
France. Get on that.
We'll start with Bezos.
Yes.
No, we'll start with Musk. Bezos can
No,
wait.
They can-
Musk will get Musk
They
will
can
get
share.
bullied to an end.
They can share. Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we can get rid of Musk if we just keep bullying him. Honestly, let's start with Bezos first.
Yeah,
No,
eventually,
no,
if we keep-
we can actually stack them one on top
Yeah,
of the other.
one on top of the other.
Musk is the bottom. He can be
We
on
can-
the
I
lower
wanna say
layer, and Bezos on top, and we cut them together.
We can have
I
a
wanna
fun.
say
We can
this.
make it a fun game. You two get to fight out whoever wins gets to be on top.
I'm going to say this. Musk, we can get rid of Musk. It's easy. We just keep calling it Twitter, and eventually he'll have an aneurysm and die.
No, his skin is so thin that people bullying him on Path of Exile upsets him. So
Yeah.
eventually he will do the thing that you're not supposed to do. And usually this is a tragedy and a horrible thing to have happen. And I would never wish it upon anybody except Elon Musk.
Yes.
And with that,
That's it. We're done. We're done.
We're done. Cancelled.
Well, to be fair, after the comments I said earlier, we're probably not going to get cancelled. Well, that's gonna be it from us tonight, everyone. We'll see you all next time if we're still around. If we're not being black bagged.
If I get fucking cancelled by J.K. Rowling.
She's a fucking bitch and a con artist. But yeah,
I hope she gets the help she needs.
She's a mold artist, first of all.
that she is. And she uses her rich, typical thing, the rich
She
using
uses
money
her riches to bully trans people because she's got nothing else going on.
and
so,
silence anyone who will say anything about her. So, because
Yeah.
the rich can do that, but the poor people can't because they're
I'm going to
poor.
say something very controversial.
Do you want me to end the show before you do?
She just needs a good dicking down. That was so much.
And I thought what I said earlier was bad.
At least my dicking is consensual, sir.
Yeah,
How can you say something so controversial yet so brave?
I'm gonna have to edit the audio of this show. I think.
Our most controversial episode yet.
we're going to have to add a few here and there.
I'm pretty sure I can do that in the post on such. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.